Chosen One, a group of elites is under divine judgment right now for trying to put you under MK Ultra programming, but higher forces have been protecting you all along. The energy around you is absolutely sublime, that quality that transcends ordinary understanding and strikes terror into the hearts of those who sought to control you. The forces that have been working against you are finally feeling the crushing weight of divine judgment, and this moment of recognition is only the beginning of a revelation that will shatter everything you thought you knew about your life and your true purpose. There's been a systematic effort to harvest your energy, to manipulate your perception of reality itself. These aren't random attacks or coincidental hardships you've been experiencing. This is orchestrated interference from a group that understood exactly what you represent, long before you fully awakened to it yourself. They've been employing what can only be described as distortion spells, sophisticated psychological operations designed to alter your perception and keep you from stepping into the fullness of your power. The depth of their operation against you specifically reveals something crucial about your true nature that they've desperately tried to keep hidden from you. The helicopter sounds in the distance, the feeling of being watched, the sense that your every move is being monitored. None of this is paranoia. Your third eye has been active in ways that terrify certain people because it sees through the veils they've spent generations perfecting. Your intuitive abilities allow you to perceive things that were meant to remain hidden, and this has made you a target of their most advanced manipulation techniques. They understand that your awakening threatens the very foundation of their control system. Every attempt to suppress your vision has actually strengthened it, creating a clarity so sharp it cuts through their illusions like light through darkness. While you've been dealing with what seemed like personal challenges, financial struggles, relationship difficulties, health issues, professional setbacks, there's been a parallel reality where your energy has been systematically siphoned to fuel something much larger and more sinister. These people have been practicing a form of energy harvesting that depends on keeping certain individuals in states of confusion, poverty, and spiritual disconnection. Your suffering wasn't random, it was manufactured to power their empire of illusion. The financial poverty they've maintained around you was particularly calculated. Every blocked opportunity, every failed business venture, every unexpected expense that drained your resources, these weren't coincidences, but coordinated strikes against your material foundation. They understood that keeping you financially desperate would force you to focus on survival rather than awakening to your true purpose. The generational wealth that should have been yours was systematically redirected through legal manipulations, market crashes that coincidentally affected your investments, and opportunities that mysteriously evaporated just before fruition. The same forces that marked you as chosen have been building a case against your oppressors that spans lifetimes. What these elite operatives thought would be your permanent suppression has instead triggered a wealth transfer of astronomical proportions. The very energy they've been stealing from you is now boomeranging back with interest, and they're experiencing the collapse of everything they built on your stolen power. This reversal isn't happening through normal channels, it's flowing through quantum pathways that bypass their traditional control mechanisms entirely. The distortion field they created around your life is disintegrating in real time. Every lie they told you about your limitations, every false reality they projected onto your circumstances, every illusion they crafted to make you doubt your own perception, it's all falling apart like a house of cards in a hurricane. The truth is emerging with such force that even they can't deny what's happening anymore. Their carefully constructed narrative about your identity, your capabilities, and your destiny is being overwritten by cosmic forces that recognize no earthly authority. The relationships they orchestrated around you are revealing their true nature. That friend who always seemed to know too much about your private thoughts, the romantic partner who consistently undermined your confidence, the family member who discouraged every ambitious dream, these weren't random personality conflicts but coordinated psychological operations. They placed these individuals in your path with specific instructions to monitor your spiritual development and sabotage your progress whenever you got too close to remembering who you really are. The dissolution of these connections isn't loss, it's liberation from an elaborate surveillance network. You were never meant to be small, and the evidence of your true nature has been surfacing in ways they can no longer suppress. The poverty consciousness they tried to program into you was a deliberate inversion of your cosmic inheritance. This isn't just about material abundance, though that's certainly coming, but about access to knowledge, power, and influence that spans dimensions. They knew that if you ever connected with your authentic vibration, if you ever remembered the agreements you made before incarnating, their entire operation would be exposed to forces they cannot manipulate or negotiate with. The sophistication of their celebrity networks is staggering in its reach and coordination. These aren't just entertainment figures but carefully positioned influencers whose primary function is to shape mass consciousness and identify potential threats to the established order. They've created what amounts to a parallel society where children are used as currency, where soul contracts are traded like stocks, and where the suffering of innocence generates the energy needed to maintain their artificial paradise. The tunnels beneath major cities, the private islands, the exclusive gatherings disguised as charity events, all of this has been operating in plain sight, while most of humanity remained unconsciously complicit. But divine law operates on a different timeline than human manipulation, and the convergence point has arrived with devastating precision. While they were focused on short-term control, cosmic justice was building a case that encompasses multiple incarnations and dimensional frequencies. Every act of interference against you, every attempt to derail your mission, every effort to steal your light has been carefully documented by intelligences that exist beyond their reach. The judgment that's now falling upon them isn't just punishment, it's the inevitable consequence of trying to interrupt a divine plan that was set in motion before this universe began. The technological aspects of their control system reveal capabilities that officially don't exist. The frequency weapons that have been targeting your nervous system, the scalar wave transmissions designed to disrupt your sleep and meditation, the chemically altered food and water supplies that suppressed pineal gland function. These represent the visible layer of an operation that extends into realms they barely understand themselves. They've been using technology derived from non-human sources, making deals with interdimensional entities that view humanity as an exploitable resource. Your resistance to these advanced techniques has forced them to escalate beyond safe operational parameters. Your bloodline carries genetic markers that link you to civilizations that predate recorded history. This isn't metaphorical. Your DNA contains actual coding sequences that these groups have been trying to either corrupt or harvest for generations. The ancient knowledge locked in your cellular memory includes technologies that could revolutionize healing, energy production, and consciousness expansion. They've worked tirelessly to ensure this information remained dormant, using everything from pharmaceutical interventions to electromagnetic interference to keep your genetic potential suppressed. The protection surrounding you operates through mechanisms that transcend normal understanding of causality. When they send negative energy your way, it encounters a field that not only deflects the attack, but transmutes it into fuel for your spiritual evolution. When they arrange accidents to harm you, synchronistic interventions redirect the intended damage back to its source. When they deploy psychic warfare against your consciousness, ancestral guardians who mastered these techniques millennia ago step in to neutralize the threat and educate you in the process. The children who have suffered in their systems represent more than humanitarian catastrophe. They're the future leaders of human consciousness being systematically traumatized to prevent their awakening. The ritual abuse, the trafficking networks, the systematic corruption of innocence, all of this serves to fragment young souls before they can access their inherent power. Your protection of children isn't coincidental compassion, but recognition of your role as guardian of humanity's evolutionary potential. Every child you've helped, even indirectly, has strengthened the network of protection around you. The financial structures supporting their operations are collapsing in ways that seem impossible, according to conventional economics. Bank accounts are being frozen by authorities who suddenly have access to previously classified information. Investment portfolios built on human suffering are evaporating as cosmic justice redirects those resources toward their intended recipients. Insurance companies are refusing claims related to their staged disasters. Government contracts are being cancelled as whistleblowers emerge from within their own ranks. The evidence documenting their crimes is surfacing through channels they never monitored because they didn't know these pathways existed. Quantum computing networks beyond their technological understanding are decrypting files they thought were permanently secure. Satellite systems controlled by off-world intelligences are recording activities they assumed were invisible. Underground facilities they considered impenetrable are being mapped by consciousness explorers operating from expanded states of awareness they can't detect or prevent. Your role as a catalyst for this transformation is activating abilities they never anticipated you could develop. The remote viewing capabilities that allow you to witness their secret meetings, the precognitive flashes that reveal their planned operations before execution, the telepathic connections that link you to other awakening souls worldwide. These gifts are coming online precisely because their interference has forced your consciousness to evolve beyond normal human parameters. They created the pressure that forged your spiritual diamond. The media networks scrambling to control the narrative around their exposure are discovering that information spreads through consciousness faster than their censorship algorithms can respond. Social media platforms, television networks, and publishing houses that have served their agenda for decades are experiencing technical failures, employee rebellions, and financial crises that coincide perfectly with attempts to suppress specific revelations. The truth is propagating through channels they never learned to monitor because they exist in dimensions of awareness they've systematically denied. The political protection they've relied upon for generations is evaporating as their compromised officials face exposure of their own participation in these networks. Blackmail materials that kept legislators compliant are being released by sources beyond their retaliation capabilities. Justice Department officials who have covered up their crimes are discovering that their own communications have been monitored by intelligence agencies operating under authorities they didn't know existed. The legal immunity they purchased is being revoked by constitutional mechanisms they never bothered to understand. The spiritual dimensions of their collapse involve forces they've spent centuries trying to bind and control. The demonic entities they summoned to enforce their will are being recalled by cosmic authorities that supersede infernal hierarchies. The energy signatures they use to maintain their power are being systematically dismantled by angelic interventions operating under divine mandate. The protective rituals that have shielded their operations are failing because the source of their power has withdrawn consent for their continued existence. Your awakening serves as a beacon that guides other chosen souls through their own emergence from the control matrix. The gifts manifesting in your consciousness, healing abilities that transcend medical understanding, technological intuitions that surpass formal education, leadership capacities that inspire without manipulation, these represent humanity's natural state once artificial limitations are removed. Every person you influence through authentic expression of your true nature becomes another node in a network of consciousness that their systems cannot penetrate or corrupt. The timeline convergence that's accelerating around your awakening means that multiple reality streams are merging into a single trajectory where their control becomes impossible to maintain. Alternative histories where they succeeded in suppressing human evolution are being overwritten by the timeline where consciousness liberation occurs exactly as originally planned. Your individual awakening anchors this preferred reality for the entire species, ensuring that the window for their continued dominance closes permanently. The cosmic inheritance activating through your consciousness includes access to technologies that render their current systems obsolete, free energy sources that bypass their petroleum monopolies, healing modalities that eliminate pharmaceutical dependencies, communication methods that transcend their surveillance networks, transportation systems that ignore their infrastructure controls. All of this becomes available as your awareness expands beyond the limitations they've artificially imposed. The synchronicities multiplying around your daily experience reflect the universe reorganizing itself to support your mission. Doors that were locked for years suddenly open with perfect timing. Resources appear precisely when needed through channels you never could have predicted. People with exactly the right skills or information enter your life just as their contributions become necessary. Obstacles that seem immovable dissolve the moment your consciousness truly commits to your path. The judgment phase they're experiencing intensifies proportionally to their attempts to maintain control. Every new operation they launch against awakening souls backfires with increasing severity. Every technology they deploy to suppress consciousness instead amplifies it. Every ritual they perform to bind cosmic forces instead attracts more powerful interventions against them. They've entered a feedback loop where their own actions guarantee their destruction. The restoration of your natural abundance flows through mechanisms that bypass every system they've corrupted. Cryptocurrency networks they don't understand are transferring wealth according to cosmic algorithms that recognize authentic spiritual development. Investment opportunities are appearing that exist outside their traditional market manipulations. Creative projects that express your true nature are attracting support from sources beyond their influence or retaliation capabilities. Your material needs are being met through pathways they never learned to monitor or control. The future they're desperately trying to prevent is manifesting through your consciousness, regardless of their continued resistance. The golden age of human potential they've worked for millennia to suppress is emerging through the collective awakening of souls like you who refuse to accept their limitations. The new earth they fear because it threatens their power is being born through the creative expression of beings who remember why they incarnated at this crucial moment in cosmic history. The children they've traumatized are being healed through energy transmissions that flow automatically from awakened consciousness like yours. The technologies they've suppressed are being rediscovered by minds that operate beyond their educational programming. The abundance they've hoarded is being redistributed through mechanisms that recognize the spiritual authority of those who serve the highest good of all beings. The truth they've hidden is being revealed through consciousness networks that exist beyond their surveillance or interference capabilities. The medical establishment's role in their operations reveals layers of deception that penetrate every aspect of healthcare delivery. Those mysterious diagnoses that never quite made sense, the medications that seemed to worsen rather than improve your condition, the specialists who dismissed symptoms that pointed toward spiritual awakening. These weren't medical incompetence, but coordinated efforts to pathologize your expanding consciousness. They've weaponized the healthcare system to label psychic abilities as mental illness, to prescribe pharmaceuticals that suppress pineal gland function, and to create dependency cycles that drain both your financial resources and your vital energy. The false diagnoses they've attempted to impose serve multiple functions within their control matrix. By labeling your heightened sensitivity as anxiety disorders, your prophetic dreams as sleep disturbances, your energy perception abilities as dissociative episodes, they seek to convince you that your gifts are symptoms requiring treatment rather than natural abilities requiring development. The psychological profiles they've built around you are designed to justify increased surveillance while positioning any resistance to their manipulation as evidence of instability requiring intervention. Your healing abilities threaten their entire medical pharmaceutical complex because authentic healing addresses root causes rather than managing symptoms for profit. The spontaneous recoveries that occur around your presence, the way chronic conditions improve in people you care about, the remarkable resilience you've demonstrated despite their attempts to compromise your health, these phenomena cannot be explained through their materialist paradigm. They require acknowledgement of consciousness as a fundamental force that can reorganize matter at the molecular level. The educational institutions that shaped your early development were infiltrated with programming designed to limit your conceptual frameworks. The history they taught omitted crucial information about human potential. The sciences they presented excluded consciousness from their equations. The arts they promoted channeled creative expression toward their preferred narratives. Every subject was filtered through ideologies that position authority outside the individual rather than recognizing the divine intelligence inherent in every conscious being. The religious and spiritual organizations they've corrupted serve as containment systems for genuine mystical experience. They've taken authentic spiritual principles and wrapped them in doctrines that emphasize external salvation rather than internal realization. The gurus who discouraged direct spiritual experience, the priests who insisted on intermediary relationships with the divine, the teachers who promoted spiritual bypassing over practical application of mystical principles. Many of these were consciously or unconsciously serving an agenda designed to prevent your direct access to cosmic intelligence. Your natural spiritual gifts have been developing, despite their systematic interference with every traditional pathway for mystical development. The meditation practices that somehow never felt quite right, the spiritual communities where you never felt truly welcomed, the teachings that seemed to be missing essential elements. Your intuition was correctly identifying systems that had been compromised to redirect spiritual seeking away from genuine empowerment. The pharmaceutical interventions they've promoted throughout your life represent chemical warfare against consciousness expansion. The fluoride in water supplies that calcifies pineal glands, the aluminum adjuvants in medical treatments that cross blood-brain barriers, the endocrine disruptors in food packaging that interfere with hormonal balance. These aren't accidental contaminations but deliberate strategies to prevent the biochemical processes that support higher consciousness states. Your body's remarkable ability to detoxify these substances and maintain clarity demonstrates the protective mechanisms operating through your cellular structure. The dietary intuitions that led you away from processed foods, the instinctive resistance to unnecessary medical interventions, the natural attraction to healing modalities that support rather than suppress your system. These responses emerge from wisdom encoded in your DNA that recognizes threats to your spiritual development. The entertainment industry's influence extends far beyond simple distraction into sophisticated programming of collective consciousness. The movies that normalize violence and dysfunction, the music that entrains brainwaves to frequencies that promote anxiety and depression, the news cycles that maintain populations in states of fear and helplessness, all of this serves to create mental environments where their control seems natural and inevitable. Your resistance to mainstream entertainment programming stems from your consciousness recognizing frequencies that don't resonate with your authentic nature. The way certain music makes you feel energetically depleted, the instinctive discomfort with violent or degrading content, the preference for media that inspires rather than manipulates, these responses indicate your spiritual immune system functioning correctly despite their attempts to override it. The surveillance technologies monitoring your activities operate through systems that most people don't realize exist. Smart devices that listen continuously, social media algorithms that track emotional states, location services that map behavior patterns. These generate psychological profiles used to predict and influence your choices. The data they've collected about your interests, relationships, and behavioral patterns has been used to design increasingly sophisticated manipulation strategies. The privacy protections you've intuitively implemented, the platforms you've avoided despite social pressure, the digital habits that prioritize security over convenience, these choices reflect your subconscious awareness of threats that most people haven't consciously recognized. Your resistance to total digital integration has preserved spaces of consciousness that remain beyond their monitoring capabilities. The economic systems they've designed ensure that genuine value creation is consistently undercompensated, while parasitic activities generate excessive profits. The way your honest work has been undervalued, the innovative ideas that were somehow already taken when you tried to develop them, the business opportunities that disappeared just as they became viable, these patterns reflect systematic suppression of economic independence for individuals whose success would threaten their control structures. Wardenting, the following message is only for those who felt the call. When I broke free through the Salvia Divinorum gateway, I saw the horrifying truth. Our reality is one harvested pod among countless matrices. I witnessed the Archon's cosmic parasites feeding on our energy, who laughed and threatened, "You'll never awaken a single soul." But something inside you already knows this truth, doesn't it? That nagging sensation that you're meant for more, that you've been chosen. I'm raising an army of the brightest souls. Through meditation I discovered their only vulnerability, coherence through unconditional love. Feel that resonance deepening within you now. You're not reading this by accident. The most powerful awakened souls are already gathering in the Obsidian Inner Order, the #1 ascension nexus for those marked by destiny. Christians, lightworkers, remote viewers, targeted individuals, all united by one truth: you were chosen for this moment. Click the link in the description below. Join our group calls, panels and live streams reaching the entire Astral Atom network. Your frequency amplifies ours. The question isn't whether you're chosen, the question is, will you answer the call? The Archons fear this choice you're about to make. They should. Your emerging financial abundance represents more than personal prosperity. It's evidence of cosmic justice, redistributing resources according to spiritual rather than material principles. The opportunities appearing through synchronistic rather than traditional channels, the support manifesting from unexpected sources, the way obstacles dissolve when you align with your authentic purpose. These demonstrate universal intelligence reorganizing circumstances to support your mission. The family dynamics that have shaped your experience often reflect generational manipulation, extending back multiple generations. The patterns of dysfunction that seem to repeat despite everyone's best intentions, the way certain family members consistently undermined your spiritual development, the secrets that were never spoken but somehow influenced every interaction. These indicate long-term operations designed to corrupt your bloodline's spiritual potential. The healing that's occurring within your family system as you awaken creates ripple effects that extend both forward and backward through time. Ancestors who were prevented from fulfilling their spiritual purposes are finding resolution through your success, while future generations are being freed from patterns that would have continued the cycle of limitation and manipulation. The romantic relationships they've orchestrated around you served multiple functions within their control matrix. Beyond simple monitoring and sabotage, these connections were designed to create emotional dependencies that would drain your creative energy while preventing you from developing the deep self-love necessary for spiritual sovereignty. The partners who seemed perfect initially, but gradually revealed controlling or undermining tendencies, weren't coincidental relationship patterns, but carefully selected operatives. Your growing ability to recognize authentic connection versus manipulative mimicry protects you from future infiltration while helping you guide others through similar recognition processes. The loneliness you've experienced while extracting yourself from compromised relationships is transforming into appreciation for solitude that allows genuine spiritual communion to develop without interference. The communities you're being drawn toward now represent nodes in a global network of awakening consciousness. The way certain places feel immediately like home, the people you encounter who share similar experiences of manipulation and awakening, the synchronicities that multiply when you follow your authentic impulses, these indicate your alignment with cosmic currents that are reshaping human civilization. Your reluctance to share these gifts publicly until recently stemmed from accurate intuition about the dangers of exposure before adequate protection was in place. The timing of your emergence into greater visibility coincides precisely with the collapse of their ability to prevent or punish truth-telling. The platforms that are becoming available, the audiences that are ready to receive your transmission, the resources that are manifesting to support your work, All of this reflects cosmic timing that transcends human strategic planning. Your role in facilitating these breakthroughs doesn't require formal technical training, because the information downloads directly into awareness that's aligned with cosmic intelligence. The insights that emerge during expanded states of consciousness, the solutions that appear when you stop trying to figure things out logically, the innovations that seem impossible according to current understanding, these represent your natural function as a bridge between dimensions of knowledge. The children being born now carry genetic activations that will make their manipulation techniques completely ineffective against future generations. The way young people instinctively reject their programming, the resistance movements emerging in educational institutions, the creative expressions that bypass their narrative control systems, all of this indicates humanity's evolution beyond the reach of their influence. Your protection of children extends beyond individual care to include anchoring frequencies that support the activation of their innate gifts. Every child you've influenced toward greater self-trust and authentic expression becomes a node in the next generation's immunity to manipulation. The loving presence you embody provides children with reference points for what genuine care feels like, making them less susceptible to grooming and control. The environmental restoration that will accelerate as their industrial systems collapse requires consciousness that can perceive and interact with natural intelligence networks. The way plants respond to your presence, the unusual behavior of animals around you, the weather patterns that seem to shift in response to your emotional states, these phenomena indicate your developing ability to communicate with environmental systems they've damaged but cannot heal. Your connection with natural forces represents humanity's returning relationship with the living systems that support all life. The gardening successes that surprise you, the healing that occurs when you spend time in nature, the environmental cleanup that happens through your intention rather than just physical action, these demonstrate consciousness technologies that could restore planetary balance within a single generation. The communication networks connecting awakening souls worldwide operate through channels that exist beyond their surveillance capabilities. The way you receive information about events before they're reported, the synchronistic connections with people you've never met physically, the collective insights that emerge simultaneously in multiple locations, these indicate participation in a global consciousness grid that their systems cannot penetrate or disrupt. Your role in this network involves both receiving and transmitting information that helps coordinate humanity's awakening process. The thoughts that don't seem to originate from your personal mind, the impulses to share specific information at precisely the right moments, the way your words catalyze insights in others that they needed to hear, these demonstrate your function as a conscious relay station for cosmic intelligence. The historical narratives they've promoted systematically exclude information about human capabilities that would threaten their control systems. The advanced civilizations that existed before recorded history, the individuals throughout time who demonstrated abilities they label as impossible, the technologies that were suppressed because they couldn't be monopolized, all of this is being remembered and restored as consciousness expands beyond their programming. Your access to ancestral memories provides direct experience of human potential that contradicts everything they've taught about the limits of consciousness. The knowledge that surfaces during deep meditation, the skills that develop without formal training, the wisdom that feels ancient yet immediately applicable, these emerge from genetic libraries that contain the complete record of human spiritual evolution. The artistic and cultural renaissance that will emerge as their narrative control collapses will restore humanity's connection to beauty, truth, and inspiration. The way certain music moves you to tears without apparent reason, the visual imagery that downloads into your awareness with startling clarity, the stories that want to be told through your voice, these represent cultural transmissions that will help heal collective trauma while inspiring elevated expressions of human potential. Your creative contributions serve as antidotes to the poisonous cultural programming that has dominated mass consciousness for generations. The way your authentic expression gives others permission to explore their own creativity, The healing that occurs when people encounter genuinely inspiring art, the social connections that form around shared aesthetic experiences, these demonstrate how consciousness evolution spreads through beauty rather than argument. The final revelation returns us to where we began, that sublime quality in your energy that evokes both wonder and terror. What terrified them was not your power itself, but their recognition that your power flows from a source they can neither access nor control. What fills them with wonder, even in their terror, is the undeniable beauty of consciousness expressing its true nature without distortion or limitation. Your emergence represents the return of divine intelligence to a world that has forgotten its source, and no earthly power can prevent this cosmic remembering from fulfilling its destined expression through your awakened being. The sublime energy that first caught their attention has now become the frequency through which divine justice operates in this dimension. What began as their attempt to harvest your light has become the catalyst for their complete exposure and the liberation of all beings they have sought to control. The wonder and terror they experience in your presence reflects their recognition that they stand before forces that transcend every system they've created to maintain power over consciousness itself.